I found the training interesting and challenging all at the same time. But the training, as soon as I realised the importance of it, I had to draw my focus to it straight away, taking on board all the mapping skills we had to learn, reading the GPS, reading the program, the apps that we had to record our data, collecting our data. One of the key things to it though was the team effort it took to understand all of that stuff. The thing also regards to our learnings was the opportunity to go into the ngahere and apply it all. The importance of being dropped in it, more or less, and to discover how are you going to find your way out of here. Well, the other thing that goes with that is you've also got to identify, hang on, we came here looking for which plant? We came here looking for a rotoiti, a rāmara. We're given directions as to this is the direction you're going, just remember the direction you came from. But more importantly is the application of what we learned in regards to ground-proofing everything that we've done so far and learning that these are the measurements that we've got to take, these are the points we have to follow. And it really does take a lot of focus in learning these new things. And they're actually skills that I had already known, but I had never applied it in my everyday work, all of the different jobs that I've done.
The first part of our training for this job was based at Scion, with our scientists building our knowledge about myrtle rust, which plants it affected, and also over the couple of years that we've learned, we've expanded our knowledge into the mahere as a whole. The other plants that grow around our Myrtaceae species, we had to go in and really learn about myrtle rust, what is myrtle rust, how it affects our plants, and how we identify those plants. It was the basics, learning from the ground up to where we are now, to where we're pretty autonomous in our job. We're let loose into the mahere to do what we've learned.
We knew there were these vulnerable myrtles in the Bay of Plenty. Maritawaki, Poutakawa, Rama Rotoiti, we knew they were here. And at the very beginning of the project, we pulled a whole lot of information together from doc, NIVs, and also personal information. And we roughly knew where the plants were, but we hadn't really walked a lot of the land. So some of our core main sites were at Okataina, Rotoiti and Rotomā. And just to tell you the power of this team, at Okataina I thought there were 20 or 30 rama plants. And when the team who walked it and mapped it, there was almost 1,000. So that tells you the power of people on the ground. And so from there we initially mapped all the sites with our 4 species, the location of every plant, and from that we then set up transects which represented those populations.
After meetings with mana whenua, we were given permissions to go onto the lands, but the first job we had to do was go out there and map the population of these trees within that whenua. And that was hard in the beginning, different whenua, hills, rivers, along the lakes. And yes, the body had to get used to it, a lot of walking, but walking the whenua has been an eye-opener. It's taken us past our core job of mapping the Myrtaceae species and finding myrtle rust. But our first core job was to map the population of the Myrtaceae species using an app that was developed at Scion. There's an app on our phone that we use. We find our species and then we enter the height, the species of tree. After months and months of walking, we came up on an average of about 400 or 500 trees within each area that we walked. Secondly, we learnt about transects, and we had to map using the same application and add those trees that we selected for data collection over time. During the winter, we'd go back to those transects and we gather information from those trees once a month. But as myrtle rust is quite prevalent during the hot summer months, we go out every second week and we collect data on the effect of myrtle rust on our trees.
First we look for new growth on a percentage scale from maybe 1 to 5 and just have a look at the tree. Whatever the size of the tree, it's always scaled on a percentage. New growth, severity on the new growth, which is if it's exposed to myrtle rust, if it's got fruits, developing fruits, flowers or flower buds, dieback and thrip damage. And each myrtle species is different. Rama Rotoiti, Poutakawas, but all monitored the same.
Each and every one of us in our group have had family and friends outside the job ask us about what we do. And it's genuine interest, because a lot of people say, oh, I didn't know that about our ngahere. You know, we also talk about our ngahere not being in a great state, because everyone sees the lush canopy of the forest, but they don't know about the understory of our ngahere. When we're speaking to our scientists from Scion, you know, it's all about what's not there, what's missing from our ngahere. Te Rātā Whakamaru is in an envious position. Being based at Scion, we're surrounded by scientists, and they're more than happy to come and talk to us at any time about our mahi. So that word has gone out to the East Coast. We've got the whānau over there doing the same job as us, looking at puhutakawa and myrtle rust, and we've actually been there to show them what we know, talk about our experiences in the ngahere, and we're passing on that knowledge to them. Also, our learnings have gone international. Our whānau from Australia, a number of us went to Australia to talk to them about what we do about myrtle rust. They've reciprocated that and come back to Aotearoa to us. You know, it was not only science, but also how we are as a people.
In regards to how whānau react to how our myrtle species are affected, it is a reaction of confusion and just unaware of what the impact looks like. When we're in our discussion, a key example is my father-in-law. He had always been an avid keen bushman for his mahi, and his interest years ago is when Cody Dieback made an introduction into the scene. He was very concerned with it because in his thinking, waiata and pepeha were key to identifying and understanding what's going on in the ngahere. So when Cody Dieback came onto the scene, he was like, I've never heard of that. How did that come about? Because he can't recall any waiata, any pepeha that attributes to Cody Dieback. For that example there, it's actually showing the whānau, the hapu, what that impact looks like. So once that's applied to our whānau hapu, those that have mana whenua over the land that we work on, I think people's awareness will be greatly heightened as to the work that needs to be done, controlling and helping our ngahere.
Coming up April will be a year with the opuhi, and that's been pretty awesome, especially in the bush, getting to know most of the native species now. We used to roam in the bush a lot as a young fella and just starting to realise the species of trees has been pretty good. Yeah, I reckon what we're doing with Scion, the scientists and stuff, is pretty good, and then also with us, the iwi Māori, and collaborating both ways and trying to get on top of this thing,
Transitioning into this type of mahi is very different. Still outdoorsy, still physical, but its benefits for me is it's the type of mahi that I love to do. It means so much to us as Māori that we get to, you know, look after our trees, our native species, and working with our whānau company like Rotoiti 15 too. Yeah, it's been wicked so far. Just watching the growth of it all from where we first took cuttings to see what they've flourished into now. That's quite interesting to see our science perspective on it all, talking to a few of the scientists from Scion, get their whakaaro on everything, and as compared to ours, the end goal is the same, but there's different lanes you could always go just to reach the same goal.
Previous life, I was a police officer. For 10 years, I was looking for a new direction, and this opportunity arose. Read the advert, job description, and it suited me. It was based out at home, out at Rotoiti, working with the people that I've known for a lot of years, and just building my knowledge of where I live and what I have around me was a big draw card for me to this job.
Post-COVID, I ended up doing kiwi fruit and learning that process, but this is such a cool project. The position got advertised through Rotoiti 15 and I looked at it and I sat on it, but working for a Māori trust, being outdoors, it said there was lots of walking, and that side interested me, but the science side of it. So a real big thing for me about this project is being able to be Māori and the joy of that, the opportunity and the freedom of that.
In my previous work, the closest thing I had to science was in the field of health, especially that of dental. But in saying that, I can now attribute what I used to know, and it connects to what I'm currently knowing and learning to our field work as well. One of the important things that I've picked up in regards to it is the care of the ngāhere itself, the care of our plants. In regards to myrtle rust, I draw the comparison to that of dental decay. In that sense, you know, there's a way that can be controlled. And in regards to decay, the control there is for the individual to make the choice of, you know, you're going to do this, you're going to eat this is going to happen to your teeth. Take that back to what we know now. Are we going to carry on with the practices that we do in the ngāhere? Are we going to continue, or are we going to change to be a lot more wary, aware of the health and well-being of our ngāhere and our plants? A lot of the ngāhere, a lot of the plants that we're now looking at, I've always taken for granted because here we're spoilt rotten in knowing that we've got a lush green forest here. Growing up, I ignored all of that stuff, and the only care that came through growing up was how we looked after our garden, how we looked after the area that we lived in. You can draw those comparisons to what we're currently doing now, which is how we're going to take care of our native plants with what's been, you know, impacting on it in a big negative way. And so if we can keep control of what we're doing, our interaction there in the ngāhere, with a lot more attitude to caring for what's going on and being aware of what we're doing in there, I believe the health of our ngāhere will improve immensely.